Hello there, everybody, and welcome to yet another one of your program, People, Places, and Events. Buying and selling has always been part of human beings' everyday life. It started with trade by barter. It went to cowries that worked like money, then to coins and banknotes. With evolution, we are closely going to the level of keeping aside coins and banknotes that have some kind of geographic limitations to some kind of legal tender that would not have geographic limitation. We'll be talking there about cryptocurrency. We'll be right back. Stay put. If you're just tuning in, this is People, Places, and Events. Today we want to talk about a very sensitive topic out there. We're talking about cryptocurrency, and there is no way we can deal with this topic without getting to an expert of the domain. That is why we brought to you today Mr. Cho Rimsky, who is an expert in financial technology. He is an expert who did his study in India. He does fintech and blockchain expertise. Welcome to Home TV, Mr. Rimsky.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
In the nutshell of it, I would want you to tell our viewers what is it all about. You term it, you term fintech and blockchain technology. Should we start with fintech first?
Yes, let's start with fintech.
Okay, what is it?
Fintech means financial technology, and it simply means the combination on finance and technology, which has been on a long road for a while now, because our institutions, the existing institutions, have not really found, they haven't found how much important technology can contribute into the way we do our daily activities. And especially in Africa, trade within African countries has been very slow.
Okay.
Mainly, not only because of transportation of the goods and services from one place to another, but mainly because of the exchange, which is what you introduced, the money aspect. How do I move money from here to another country and purchase for goods there? And that process will be faster. With our existing institutions, it takes about 3 to 5 days for a transaction to be validated through the bank.
Yeah.
Imagine you have to serve a customer. You wait for 3 to 5 days just for the payment to go through before you wait for another 2 weeks for the goods to come to you. That is already about 3 weeks to 1 month just to purchase something. That is too much. Time is money.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So then now coming to blockchain. Blockchain is a digital database.
Okay.
It's a database, a secure decentralized database that holds transactions. So that's just it. It's just a database that holds or record transactions in a particular way. This particular way is that it uses the technology we call cryptography, so that it keeps the transaction, it records the transaction in a way no one can alter that information which has been recorded.
Yeah.
So 100 years later, you did a transaction today. 100 years later, that transaction is still available.
Recorded.
That information is recorded.
Yeah.
And no one can alter it.
Like the history book of financial transaction, you mean there?
Exactly. You have the right words for that.
In your explanation, I could pick out a word, cryptocurrency. It is what is en vogue now in the world of transaction. And a lot of people out there would really want to know what cryptocurrency is all about. Can you tell us?
Okay, thank you for that very good question. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency. Means it's a digital form of money, the money we already know. And it comes to actually speed up the way money moves from one person to another. It comes to secure the way money moves from one person to another. And it comes to make sure that the way money moves from one person to another is recorded and cannot be altered. If I do a transaction to you, that transaction, it is always going to be recorded that I did a transaction from my pocket to you. And another thing is, with cryptocurrencies, the blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies first, depends on the blockchain technology.
Okay.
For example, you have electricity, and then you have bulbs.
Okay.
Blockchain technology is the electricity, and the bulb is the cryptocurrency, mainly Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bulb actually expresses what the electricity gives, right? So without electricity, the bulb will be useless.
Okay, yeah, of course.
So without the blockchain, Bitcoin is useless.
Okay.
And also, adding to that is, cryptocurrency is a way of converting energy to value and using now that value as a means of exchange.
So when you're talking, always when they talk of cryptocurrency, there is this word that always come close to it is Bitcoin. It makes one feel like Bitcoin is the only currency that cryptocurrency works with.
Okay.
That crypto, yeah. What is there? Are there other currency apart from Bitcoin?
Okay. Bitcoin is the first cryptocurrency.
Okay.
It's actually the mother of cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrency is a term used to define digital currencies.
Okay.
Now, Bitcoin is one of those digital currencies and the main one.
Yeah.
And there are other many digital currencies. There are so many right now.
Yeah.
More than 3,000.
Okay. In the like of Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple, a couple of them.
A couple of them, USDT, USDC, and so many of them.
Okay.
But now, what makes a difference is that Bitcoin is not managed by anyone.
Okay.
It's actually managed by a network, a network of computers that are connected P2P. It means I am here in Cameroon, another person is in the US, another person is in India, another person is in Japan, and we use a software. We install a software on our computer. That software serves as a database.
Okay.
That database now reflects on every one of us. No matter our geographical location, we now become a part of that network.
Okay.
Now, that network records transactions. It means if there's no electricity in Cameroon, that network will still be alive.
Okay.
Because there's electricity in the US, there's electricity in Japan, and all of those other computers in those areas, they hold that information. Which means it's impossible to kill the network.
Okay. It will push me to ask a question. We're going technology now. All computers and all those network systems depend on the satellites. What happens if there is a problem in the satellite and business have to go on? How are they going to carry it out?
Okay. Probably, if there's a problem with the satellite, one thing is for sure. Computers are always going to be connected. Our lives now depends on computers. They facilitate everything. So there's always a backup. There's always a backup for it.
Okay.
It means without the satellite, we used to have internet. See, internet is where we have the intranet, where we interconnect ourselves locally. It's already a network.
Okay.
Now, if we have to interconnect ourselves out of a certain boundary, now that becomes the internet.
Yeah.
Right. It means it still functions in the intranet and then interconnects with the internet. It means if there's no satellite, it will still be functioning locally.
Okay.
When down everything comes back, the database now gets back, and every computer on that network gets the same information. It means if I do a transaction here with you, that information is recorded in my computer here, and it's recorded in a computer in the US, it's recorded in another computer in Japan, and the person having the computer in the US doesn't even know who did the transaction.
Okay.
That's how secured it is. Means it codes our transaction. It makes it private.
Okay.
It's just you and I know. We know we've done a transaction. But that transaction is on the network as a transaction that has been done between two people. But those people are not identified.
Listen to you speak, Joe Rimsky. It seems like there is no disadvantage in doing in cryptocurrency. Is that what it means?
No, there is a lot of disadvantages in it. Cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in particular is very volatile. I will speak Bitcoin in particular. Is very volatile. It means the value of Bitcoin fluctuates very fast. Which is a major disadvantage. But you know, when people explain this, it seems so easy. You just put your money.
That is the impression I had when you were explaining.
You know, just put your money into Bitcoin and tomorrow you're a rich person, you're a millionaire, you're a billionaire.
I'm coming to that question. That's what a lot of Cameroonians felt when we had this knowledge about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency just arriving our landscape. It was like there is no disadvantage. There is always a millionaire to be when you start dealing with Bitcoin. But what we realize is that a lot of people lost their money. I want you to explain that phenomenon.
Okay, this is a very interesting one because I myself have lost money. A lot of money into Bitcoin.
Being a businessman, you should be ready to run the risk.
Now, what mitigates the risk is knowledge. People jump into things, carry all their investments and put into things that they have no understanding about, no little knowledge about. And that is founded in our mindset, in the way we perceive money. Now, when I speak about Bitcoin, I would not advise you to run and buy Bitcoin with the little money you have to eat, thinking that it's going to grow. No. You have the wrong mindset. The first thing is build the right mindset. Grab the knowledge. This thing will not go away anytime soon. Those who got rich in 2012, some of them are broke now. Those who are getting rich now, some of them will be broke tomorrow. It's not how fast you get into it, but it's how far you get into it.
That's the point.
Understanding it in the right way will position you correctly. It means you would never find yourself feeling that you're losing with the right mindset. One thing is, if you don't pay school fees, right? If you don't pay school fees, you won't attend the classes.
That's it.
And if you don't attend the classes, you won't get the knowledge. And you obviously get the knowledge in real life, right? But someone who paid the fees, who attended the classes, would have had an advance ahead of you who didn't attend that class. So for me, I consider people who go into this without going first for the knowledge, they are paying a fee by taking a risk that they don't understand and they lose money. The mindset they should have is what they lost in that was a fee they were paying to know how to go into that. Then they should rethink about it. What are you investing into? Why would you invest in something you have no idea about? Why would you invest into something that is entirely in the hands of another person?
That is the question. Good people, we'll be coming right back. But what we want you to note is that before you dabble into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, you should have appropriate knowledge which will fuel you going forward into whatever thing you want to do. Don't go away. People, places, and event. You'll be right back. If you're watching Home TV, we're right back into people, places, and events. Today we're talking cryptocurrency. It's a very interesting topic that a lot of you out there would want to know. Because I know a lot of you out there have gone into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin issues without really knowing how to get about it. That is the reason why we had our expert today in the studio to talk about this very important topic. He is Rimsky. He's an expert in fintech and everything that has to do with cryptocurrency. Mr. Rimsky, you right here in the studio. The question I'd want our viewers out there to know is how stable is this cryptocurrency business that has pushed countries like Central African Republic into dropping illegal tender like franc CFA that has been in existence for quite a while to getting cryptocurrency like their stable means of transaction?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. And just a little correction, the Central African Republic did not drop the CFA.
Okay.
They're using Bitcoin as an alternative,
okay,
especially to solve the international trade problem.
Okay.
Because they noticed that they had a lot of difficulties, challenges in order to carry out transactions with other countries like Russia, China, and others.
Okay.
And with the CFA, because every transaction they carry had to pass through France before being settled, where the money is going to. And they do not want that to happen, and they want to have that freedom to be able to buy and sell whatever they want with their partners, right? So they saw this alternative as a global currency, which is accepted in so many countries. And they thought that this currency can actually blow them off by giving them that freedom to carry on international trade without limitations. And it's not only Central African Republic, I guess because it's in Africa, but we also have El Salvador, which is in South America. They have made Bitcoin their legal tender. It means now El Salvador is that place where you can conveniently go there and you don't need to hold any other currency, but you can just hold just Bitcoin and you'll be able to live there comfortably.
How advanced can we think that El Salvador's economy has been now that they are using Bitcoin like their legal tender?
Okay. The thing is, Bitcoin is still is in a premature stage. Let me not call it premature, but it's in a very young stage. And
in a developing stage.
Because at this point, it's just very few characteristics that we are still using. We haven't really gone deep into it. Like from the previous, let me go back to another question which you asked before I come back to this.
Okay.
How stable is this?
Okay.
Let me say, when you have to compare this currency to other currencies, it's very volatile.
Okay.
But if it is a currency on its own, it's very stable.
Okay.
It means if you implement Bitcoin in Cameroon and you say, I have to buy maybe a phone with Bitcoin, I sell my phone with Bitcoin, and I don't need to change that Bitcoin like instantly into another currency, it is going to work very well. But if every time I have to compare the Bitcoin to the dollars, to the euro, it's always going to be fluctuating because it's a fast-paced currency.
That's right.
Right? It means I can sit here and in few seconds I've sent money to the US.
Okay.
In few seconds I've received money from Japan. In seconds, it's so fast that it's not going to be easy for you to compare it with slow money.
Okay.
I'll call the fiat money slow money.
Yeah, of course it is slow. Yeah,
it's slow money. So when you look at it that way, you think that Bitcoin is very volatile. But if you have to compare Bitcoin to another cryptocurrency that is of almost the same kind of characteristics, then it wouldn't be that much anymore. So let me say, the future is in digital money. Why do I say so? It's because the fiat money has already failed.
Okay.
the fiat money has failed because money on itself becomes very expensive these days.
Okay.
From the point where the money is produced till the point where the money is distributed, it loses value, a lot of value. If 1 billion is produced, which is not even produced in Africa, it's produced in France,
Yeah.
and before it gets transported to Africa, they have to pay those who produce the money, and it comes from that money which is produced. They have to pay the transportation from the factory into our banks.
Yeah.
They have to pay for the distribution from the banks into the different institutions until it gets
To our pockets.
and it means that when 10,000 francs gets to your pocket, it's not more having the value of 10,000 francs.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to manage it physically and it loses value.
Does that explain one of the reasons why our money is losing value lately?
It contributes to that.
Okay.
It contributes to that in the sense that we see, managing our fiat money is expensive because it comes in with a lot of costs, right? But if you have to look at economies that are going digital, you see that they put in very less resources in order to manage, or in order to manufacture, distribute and manage this fiat money. The lesser you manage fiat money, the more your value of your money goes up. Which means if CFA France was entirely digital, there will be no one carrying money from France to come and distribute here. You will just use your phone to make payment for anything. And that will actually cut down costs on money itself, which is going to also bring up the value of money. And it's also going to be, it's going to make our money less expensive.
Rimsky, looking at the way things are getting expensive in the market by the day, which means implicitly our money is losing value.
Yes.
Now, Central African Republic is, should I say, the only African state, the only African country that is trying to legalize the use of beat currency. Do you see any other Central African, let's start with Central African country, do you see any other Central African country towing the step of the Central African Republic?
I would say yes. I would say yes in the sense that first, a question should pop up. Why is Central African Republic taking those steps, even with all the risk involved? Like, they don't have enough expertise to actually deploy such. They don't have enough, let me say, human resource to manage that. They don't have enough technological infrastructure to manage that, because Bitcoin, number one, is a digital currency. You will never find it in a paper form or in a coin form. If you see in a coin form, it's just a representation.
Yeah.
It's not used for exchange. It's digital entirely. It means there is the need for that infrastructure to be put in place. There is the need for the accessibility of internet for people to be able to do transactions on that.
Okay.
In that aspect, Central African Republic has failed in the sense that they have not put in place the infrastructure that would make that very possible. The second thing is they have not put in place a good educational structure that will educate the public and also give them a lot of expertise into that sector. They are importing a lot of knowledge, or they are importing a lot of expertise from outside in order to implement that, which is also a failure site for them.
Okay.
But I think they are taking steps to gain freedom.
Okay. Financial freedom,
Financial
you mean?
freedom.
Yeah.
And those steps cannot be negligible.
Yeah.
They are making their mistakes. If you've never made a mistake,
You will not
you
learn.
have never done anything, right?
That's the point.
So they are making their mistakes. I think for them taking the first step, it's already major. They will be the first people to make the mistakes, which means it gives them that chance to actually speed up the process faster.
Yeah.
And I think Mali, there are countries like Mali that will jump in very soon.
Okay.
There are countries that are very tired of colonialism, countries that They are tired of being in bondage financially. They are also looking into that aspect. So there is also Cameroon that is strategically and intelligently looking into that aspect.
Okay.
Because I have been in 2 events which was organized by the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication to look into how to make this cryptocurrency legal.
Okay.
And I think the COSUMAF, which is a regulator of currencies in Central Africa, is already putting down some little structures in order to make this legal. So they have already given out their first, let me say, their first tender or their first note on people to start using it, institutions to start implementing it, and all of that. So they're already getting into it, which is already a very huge step, because we need it.
Yeah.
No matter how we can fight it, you know, when evolution comes or revolution comes, you can just fight it, but you can never beat it. What you do is you align yourself to it, and you understand it so that you can grow faster with it.
When evolution or revolution comes, you can't fight it. You just have to align yourself to it. This was pushing me to a question that was a little bit boggling my mind. There is no way you can talk about financial banking, you talk about bitcoins, you talk about these things without dabbling into geopolitics. France has been holding captive, if you permit me this word, has been holding captive all the Central African countries with their franc CFA. And now, seeing that these countries are trying to stretch their steps out of the CFA, going to a currency that would give them their financial freedom, don't you think France will frown at them and that there could be some repercussions in the long run?
Obviously, it's not even the long run. If you see, the Central African Republic has faced a lot of splashbacks because of this action. Even from the BEAC, right? They have been attacked because of this, because they are part of the BEAC. They are supposed to be using the CFA. But they have challenged the BEAC to start pushing them to think that there is an alternative, and they need to look into that alternative. And the BEAC gave them some sanctions, but has pushed the COSUMAF to start putting out some regulations.
Okay.
Yes, obviously, France is already challenged.
Okay.
And that's one amazing thing about this cryptocurrency, about this Bitcoin, is that there's no central bank for it.
Okay.
It means for you can't attack it. You cannot attack Bitcoin.
Okay.
If you have to attack Bitcoin, you have to attack the network on which it lies, and which is that network is global. It's not geographically limited.
Okay.
Which means that this currency is that kind of currency where you can fight people, but you cannot fight the currency itself. And it's very difficult for the government to come into each and everyone's phone to check, what are you doing? How are you doing your transactions? And all of that. It's very, very difficult. And since there's no central bank for this, it's going to be tough. I think what most of our governments should do is they should invest more into building, not into the cryptocurrency.
Okay.
I think we Africans are just too young to start going into investing a lot into the cryptocurrency itself.
Okay.
We should invest more into the expertise,
Okay.
into the understanding, into the education of this field.
Okay.
Because no matter how much you invest into the cryptocurrency, without having the knowledge, you would probably end up losing that, all of it.
Okay.
First, our governments do not have the competencies to manage such a revolutionized kind of money. What they need to do is they look for experts and they expand that expertise. Send some of the experts for trainings. Put them into thorough trainings. People that do not just speak out of assumption. People that speak out of practicalities. People that try one thing and another.
But are you optimistic that these steps will be taken in Africa anytime soon?
I'm a very optimistic person. and no matter how bad things will be going. But there is also the place for analysis. So when I look at things strategically, I think that the governments are already taking huge steps. Cameroon in particular. We are not yet ready. Africa is not yet ready for this kind of technology. Reasons being that when the world, most of the other countries were advancing in terms of digitalization, we got stuck in the old ways of doing things. People are already used to making payments with their phone.
Yeah.
Moving now from making payments with your phone into owning money is easier for them.
Yeah.
But us, we are still very rudimental. We still love doing payments with cash.
Yeah.
That keeps us still backward. It means that we first have to transit from the cash to the digital economy, then from the digital economy to the digital money economy.
Yeah.
The digital economy is where you use still the old ways or the old money, but a more faster medium to carry on transactions. While the digital money economy is where you actually use the digital money to carry on transactions. So it's different.
The next question, I think this could be the final question. The next question that I would like to ask you is, prices of goods are skyrocketing as time goes by, and the consequence it's always that money loses value.
Obviously.
Not only in Cameroon, in almost the whole of Africa. I'd want to know, is it because in Africa we're still dealing with the cash payment system? And if we're still dealing with the cash payment system, I can read from your body language that that's the reason. If we're still dealing with the cash payment system, does it mean that since African leaders are already seduced by the cryptocurrency, by the time they move into a cryptocurrency, since it's an evolutionary system, will that bring a remedy to the popping up of prices and the reduction of the African currency?
Okay. Thank you very much for this question. And the value of goods and services will keep rising until we actually reallocate value. Why does it keep rising? Because value is not well positioned. Like nowadays, what is really value? Is 10,000 francs valued? Is 10,000 francs equivalent to a bag of cocoyam? What is 10,000 francs?
A lot of questions that only an expert like you can answer.
What is the importance of 10,000 francs? So you see, what gives money value is that you can actually use that money to actually purchase for good or service a certain amount of good or service. And when that amount of money starts reducing and purchasing the same amount of good or service, it means that that money has lost value. And some things come up when there is evolution. You staying behind, you actually feel the effect more.
Yeah.
When everybody is moving up, you staying behind, you'll be left alone, right? And being alone is that you'll not have what to eat because you'll be we humans are somehow dependent. We cannot do everything. So this is it. The world has moved digital. Africa is still left behind. And Africa is feeling the highest repercussion of that effect. I'll just use a little bit of example. In my stay and study in India, I experienced the transformation, the digital transformation, where the government or the Central Bank of India used a strategy which I think the Quebec and the BEAC is trying to use now. A strategy whereby they changed the form of money. They had already set up the environment for digitalization. They had already empowered startups that are fintech startups, financial technology startups, they have empowered small and medium-sized businesses to already start adopting and accepting this digital way of doing things. And now they went on by changing the currency, telling everyone that if you have the old notes, come to the banks and deposit the old notes and get the new ones. By the time you deposit the old notes, you will never get the equivalent of the new ones going back. It means that they suck up the physical money and they give you guys digital money, which by taking a lot of the load of managing physical money and gives you the ease and the ease for financial inclusion, so that anyone who has an Android phone can have access to digital systems. And in that way, they actually speed up their process of digitalization.
Okay.
Now, in that economy, you can buy tomatoes with your phone. You don't need to always work with money. And that goes a long way to cut costs and increase the value of your money, to also reduce the high rate of insecurities. When that money has to move from one bank to another, they have to hire a company, a security company, and all of that. That is money being spent to manage money. But when we invest more into the human intellectual aspect, training people on how to make this digital money secured, teaching people on how to use it, will go a long way to cut down costs and will go a long way to improve the value.
Listen to you talk, you go into a very fast and evolve and develop society. How do you think Africa can cope into this digitalized system, considering the fact that we still have rural setups in Africa? Our villages, our grandfathers who still deal with the farm, how are they? They know only how to buy and sell, just a step after their trade by barter. How do you bring them into digital trade?
Okay, this is an amazing one because Africa is made up of mostly young people. The rate of the old people are very less. And one day, while passing by the road, I saw a woman of about 50, 60 years on Facebook trying to manipulating her phone, on WhatsApp, doing some things. And I thought, like, if she can go on Facebook, she can do anything digital. There's no limitation.
Yeah.
The internet actually reaches our villages. That's why I keep insisting, without education, we're going to be stopped. Our governments, people should be more focused in education. Don't wait for the government to come and empower you. Go out and get the knowledge. The knowledge is already available. You go on the internet, on Google, on YouTube, you will get as much as possible. And you can have access to experts like us. There's so many of us in Cameroon who are open to exchange with you, to explain some things that you could not understand on the internet. So I think that there is a lot of optimism in this aspect. Africa is now the bedrock of the world. Every other continent is coming to invest in Africa. Africa is shining. And it's not for nothing. It's because Africa has the best at this moment, which are the young people. Technology, you know, our young people are very technology friendly. I'll take a little example before we go. Financial institutions such as banks and microfinances, right? They are offering services, products or services in the traditional way, communicating it in a digital way. But at the end of the day, there is no end-to-end consumption of that digital product. You always have to come back to the traditional way in order to obtain that.
Yeah.
While we are supposed to be recreating our products and services to fit to the economy that we have. We have a digital economy because we have the people that are ready to absorb that digitalization.
Yeah.
The only thing that is lacking is the right education. People should go in for education before going in for investments.
Absolutely.
Think of Bitcoin as money for transaction first, before you start thinking of it as a store of value, as an asset.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa, everybody will scramble here because we have the young manpower. We have the natural resources. Africa will be the engine of the world in the nearest future. But before that happens, it is important that Africa concentrate on having the education that it takes. This is where we draw the curtain for today's program, People, Places, and Events. We'll be back for you in the nearest future. So long.